Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to today's episode of Sedat HR Digest. We have a very interesting topic today for you. But before we go into our discussion, wherever you are watching us from, we want you to drop your name and your location in the comments. Or the chat box, and I would be very glad to read it out to acknowledge you again. I also want I want to apologize for my voice. It may not be as usual. I'm a bit under the weather, and so my voice is a bit ragged, but will try and then have a very smooth discussion for today's episode. Sedat HR Digest is brought to us by Sedat Consult, your number one trusted HR firm. You can consult or contact Sedat Consult for all your HR and people needs. We are not only into HR support, but organizational wise, we are there to give you that support. And so if you want to reach out to us, you can call us on 0244 629245, 0244 629245, or 0591 405555, 0591 405555. You can call these numbers and the team would be glad to receive your call and step in to provide you with all the support you are looking for. And so we would like to go straight to the chat box and see if we have some names in there. Right, so I have Ken Bodo. Ken says, okay, I don't know where the okay is coming from, but thank you so much, Ken, for joining us. I know you are out there, you are listening, you are watching. Please drop your name and your location in the chat box, and I would gladly receive you and acknowledge your presence on the show today. And so this afternoon or this evening or this morning, wherever you are, would like to go straight into our discussion. And I want to introduce our topic once again. We are looking at the future of learning with generative AI, the future of learning with generative AI. And you can attest or you can confirm that AI is giving us all the support for us to do all that we want to do or we need to do with ease, and adding that professionalism bit to it. But what is the future of learning when we come to generative AI? When we talk about generative AI, what does it really mean? Is it the same? Is there anything different about it that we need to know? We'll be looking at these and other questions in our discussion today, and we are glad to bring you one of the seniors in this field in the HR fraternity. He is no stranger to us on the show, and so let me give you a brief of his profile for those who will be watching him for the first time. And so he is a global learning and development expert. He is also a professional when it comes to project management and general human resource management. He helps organizations and individuals to improve productivity and performance in the area of talent development, performance management, business, project management, and general human capital management and evaluation. And like I said, he's no stranger to us on the show. So if you are ready, I am equally ready. Help me to receive into the studio our guest for today, Mr. Jeffrey Boham. Hi, Jeff.
Hello,
Ah, good.
I'm
Is
patient.
it
How are you?
afternoon or morning at your end?
It's afternoon,
Okay.
12:07, and
Wow.
I hear you're feeling well. I hope you recover quick. So much for still coming, to support us, I would say.
All right, but we are happy to have you on the show, this for this episode, and of course, as a senior in this field, we are very blessed to be associated with you, and I know that right after the show, you have another program, and you will be attending. I think it's a good place for you to um just if you don't mind, share from here, where are you going? Can we know so that if we have to come and follow you, we will do that? But I mean, it's a very important show, and I know you have some few close pals on the show that we have to also acknowledge them as well. And so, as part of your introduction, you can let us know them, and then we will be glad to acknowledge them.
Well, thank you very much, Patience. And yes, it's rare to see somebody dressed in suit on a Sunday, unless the person went to church. Unfortunately, I didn't go to church today. Um, I'm going to. My daughter's having a lunch. She just graduated. I'm going to her lunch right after this session. I told her, I said, "Hey, is it okay if I come about an hour late? Is it okay if I come about an hour late because I have an event to attend?" And she said, "Oh, that's fine." I said, "Yes, boss, I will." So I want to acknowledge her and say, I'm excited for her. That's one. And I have a friend who fell sick recently. His name is Joseph. And I went to visit him yesterday, and he said he was going to watch. So I just want to also let him know that I'm excited that he's joining us. And I have some friends all the way in the country of Rwanda. There's one lady who actually, Charity, she was in Utah. She relocated to Rwanda, and I know she's also watching us. She works for, is it 𝐀𝐝𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨𝐧 Hospital in Rwanda. I want to let her know that, I am acknowledging her as well. I have a whole list of people, but I just wanted to mention these three people because I kind of assured them. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to, highlight those folks.
Right. Thank you so to Jeff, and we want to say for your friends that are watching us on the show, we are very glad to have them here with us on this episode, and a very hearty congratulations to your daughter. We are proud of her, and we can't wait to receive her one day in Ghana. We can't wait. We can't wait. All right. So I have some few names dropping. Let me do the acknowledgement and we will go straight into our discussion. And so we have Julia from Community 18. Thank you, Julia, for joining us. Gifty is joining from Accra, Ghana. Thank you, Gifty. We are very, very grateful for you joining us. Okay, so Irene says, "Hello, Jeff, watching from the UK." Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much. We are grateful to have you here and we look forward to your participation in the conversation as well. So, here on Sadat Digest, we don't do the talking alone. It's a participative webinar we do. And so, as the discussion is going on, you can drop your comments. You can, if you have any clarification you want to seek, if you want to ask any question, you want to add on, contribute, you are free to do that in the comment section. And whatever you want to find out or clarify or add on, we will make sure that we take notice of it. Now, just let's go into our conversation, knowing very well that the two of us don't have time, don't have time. And I mean, a hot afternoon, everybody's in a hurry preparing for Monday morning. Now let's before we go deep into learning, I mean the future of learning using generative AI, I think it will be in a good order to understand generative AI that can serve as a good platform for our subsequent discussion. And so, if you don't mind, you can take us through, help us to have at least a brief understanding of what generative AI is.
Thank you very much, Madam Patience. This is going to be a very when I try to process and think about how best I have to present this particular response to this question because I think it's so key. It's going to be a bit long-winded, but it's going to be very helpful as well. But before I even get into it, I want to acknowledge Julia Jan Sampson. She's associated with one of my mentors. In fact, some of the people that really, they never really intentionally mentored me as a kid, but I always watched them. They taught me along the way, So I just want to acknowledge her presence. And Irene is also my high school to my parents. I went to the W schools. Irene, Irene is one of the leaders of our school. We have a platform, and she's one of the leaders. She's based in the UK. So thank you so much, Irene. I haven't met Gifty yet, but definitely excited that you joined us. So when we talk about generative AI, okay, let's flip the two words around first and talk about artificial intelligence. Because I mean, if you want to talk about blue cars, you want to understand what a car is first. So, what is artificial intelligence? You know, artificial intelligence really is intelligence, human-like intelligence displayed by machines. So basically, we humans have found ways and means to train and prepare machines to start responding, reacting, and kind of behaving like the way humans would do. And this has evolved over a long period of time. Okay. So that is what AI is all about. Now, when we want to get into generative AI, we have to look at the evolution of artificial intelligence. Just general artificial intelligence, where in the past we were using basic things like calculators and things like, rule based. If A, do B, if C, do D. And that was the highlight of technology as of then. Um, but as the evolution, as things got evolved over time, they started looking at something called machine learning. You see a lot of people talking about, in fact, just about 3-4 years ago, machine learning was the buzzword. Everybody was talking about machine learning. So machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, where machine learning really looks at how we train machines. There are ways and means that you can train machines. There are structured ways and unstructured ways. We don't want to go into all the technology. We are just users. But you train machines to kind of respond to situations. For example, um, there's an app that I use. I know most people use it also. It's called 𝐀𝐻𝐦𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨𝐧. Okay. I have a habit. I have a habit of, in fact, it's something I have to do. I leave home very early, around 4:30 a.m. I go to work at Washington, D.C. Um, Anytime that I get in the car at 4 a.m. and I turn on Waze, it says, "Good morning. You're going to Washington," or like you're going to work, Washington, D.C. Even though I don't prompt it, it tells me because it has observed the patterns of behavior that I demonstrate. So that is kind of machine learning. Okay. Then underneath, another subset of machine learning, which is also another subset within artificial intelligence, there is something called deep learning. Deep learning is where we are trying to kind of, machines are trying to emulate the way the human mind operates. So it uses neural networks and some processes. We don't want to get into all the details of the processes. But underneath deep learning, there's generative AI. So that's where I want to kind of pause and explain generative AI more. Generative AI is that component of artificial intelligence that can generate new things. Now, it could generate things because it has a vast, data set that it can generate from, but it also has built some algorithmic processes that it can use. So therefore, you can just prompt it to say, generate a picture, for example, of a Caucasian person in kente cloth, and it will generate right away. So that is what generative AI is. And generative AI can do a lot of things. For example, generating new audio, generating new pictures, generating new text. So most of this, we talk about chat GPT and large language models. When we talk about large language models, we're talking about like an entire body of databases, language databases that we prompt. So if you talk about chat GPT, it means you are chatting with a generative pre-trained transformer. Okay. So technically, when we talk about chat GPT, it's not like something coming from space to hunt us. But the reality is that we, even at this point, we are starting to move past generative AI. We are going into the space of agentic AI, where we are using automation and generative AI to create AI agents that can actually execute on things rather than giving us responses. So just let's just focus this on generative AI. Generative AI really is artificial intelligence that has the ability to generate new ideas, typically based off of all the information and the databases that it has available. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank
That's a
you. Thank
long-winded
you
one,
so,
but
thank you so much, Jeff. All right. So, looking at the explanation you've given to us and then the background to what you just shared with us, can you briefly describe how you see generative AI transforming the education and learning landscape? And I have a follow-up question after this that is linked to that. But then let's look at that. How do you see this generative AI transforming the education and the learning landscape?
well, that's a very, very, very important question because it has already started. You know, it's already started in terms of how generative AI is transforming the learning and development and education landscape. In the area of education, you have a lot of ed tech companies coming up because it's solving so many problems at the same time that has become like a disruption in the work that we do. First and foremost, a lot of things that we did in the classroom may not be able, I mean, one of the biggest advantages of generative AI, according to what most of the research says, is that it is improving work efficiency by about 40%. That was by a McKinsey research. And basically, what that means is that things that we used to do maybe in about a week, we are able to do some of these things in about 15 minutes. So it's the pace at which it is revolutionizing learning, the pace at which it's revolutionizing education, and some of these things. That's one area that is changing. It's also changing the mindset, even of the consumers of learning. Because in the past, people like to be passive in the classroom, just digesting information. These days, people are really looking forward to information that is personalized directly to them, because artificial intelligence has the capability to draw upon what people do at their desk. Let me tell you one funny thing. Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, I said, ChatGPT, knowing what you know about me over this period of time, okay, tell me who I am, what I can do, where I can add the most value, and things like that. And I was surprised at the response that I saw. I mean, the things that have been saved on my laptop, I was surprised. It mentioned things that I've done, projects that I've done, and things that I've contributed to, and told me specifically which areas I need to focus my future. So that's the kind of thing. There's also personalizing what the speed with which content is generated. In the past, we generated content, maybe content that would probably would have to go through several brainstorming sessions where you'd have a lot of people meet over a period of maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You can now you generate it all in 1 minute. Okay, just ask it a good prompt and you get the responses. So that's a third way. You can personalize responses. For example, you create learning objectives for a particular group of people, and then you say, instead of generating an outline for this training for finance folks, generate an outline for finance folks, for HR folks, for engineers, using the same objectives. For example, you can do the same thing, just provide personas and things. I mean, when we talk about the extent to which generative AI is transforming learning and development and the edtech industry, it's unbelievable. I saw a statistic recently. If you look at some of these platforms, learning platforms like the Coursera's and the LinkedIn and the rest, I hear from the data that I just recently saw that in the past they were growing by about maybe 15-20% year over year. Now they are growing by almost 200% year over year. So it tells you how fast it is changing things. Um, right now, there's so many things that generative AI can do that all you have to do, I would say, is to learn how to prompt it. There's something called prompt engineering where you ask it a question utilizing a specific approach, utilizing a certain structure, asking it more details, and it will give you the exact response that you're looking for to the T. So it's really revolutionizing learning and development in so many ways that some of us who have been in the learning and development space will either have to quickly retrain ourselves and start thinking in that direction. The Gen Zers are not playing. You know, they are coming to maybe let me share another statistic, another interesting one. The World Economic Forum report, I think 2023, shared something. This was in 2023. It said 6 out of 10 jobs, current jobs, not jobs that we have currently, are going to be lost by 2027 if we don't learn generative AI, if we don't learn artificial intelligence. So something as simple as AI literacy is going to become a key, I would say, requirement even of learning and development. You should, as a learning and development professional, be able to understand how artificial intelligence works. You should be able to understand the lingo and things like that. So I don't want to get, I know you have other questions coming up, but there are so many ways that generative AI is actually changing things in terms of efficiency, in terms of impact, in terms of personalization. I mean, you can have generative AI grade all your questions in 5 minutes. Let's say you're a lecturer, okay? You can have generative AI answer, grade all your questions without probably any mistake. So in the past, lecturers were spending maybe a whole day grading or maybe an hour grading the paper. Now it can be graded in 5 minutes, 1 minute. And it can grade several of them at the same time. So we're talking about personalization at scale and things like that. There are so many things. This has to be a whole course if we want to break down. Because when I thought about it, when you asked the question, when I thought about it, I thought about 50 things that can be done. And I can't really put all of them in one answer. That's why I'm kind of quickly going on and on and on. But there's so many things that can be done. I hope
Wow.
your question is kind of answered.
Yes, 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 it does. But so someone just sent me a message on my phone, and the person says, "Please ask Jeff, how can AI leapfrog Ghana or Africa in one?" So the person listed about 6 areas. So one in education, two science and tech, three medicine, four law, five good governance, and six agriculture. I don't know if you would want to take it now or you
Can
want
you,
us
can
to
you
keep
ask the
going.
question again?
How can AI leapfrog Ghana or Africa in education, science and tech, medicine, law, good governance, and agriculture?
Okay, so how I'm understanding, and that's a very deep question. How I am understanding and processing the question is, let's start from the word leapfrogging. Because when you're looking at leapfrogging, we're talking about, kind of when we have it like a chain of um, succession of doing things. Okay, maybe you move from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. What I'm understanding the question to be is, how can we move from like level 1 to level 5? Because the Western world is somewhere around level 4 right now, and we are at level 1. So my understanding of the question is, how can we leverage generative AI to leapfrog the level 2, 3, and 4 and get to level 5, something of that. So that's how I'm understanding it. And if I'm going to be able to answer it, I would say that Africa, I think we're talking about Ghana and Africa. Africa has an opportunity. The advantage we have is Africa has a very young workforce and they are capable. First and foremost, generative AI has become an equalizer. And what it means is that in the past, access to education, okay, made some folks who had the means to get to like the Harvards and the Yales and the top schools in the world, they became the only people that looked like they were intelligent. Okay. But what is happening is that these days you go on YouTube and you have 22-year-olds that are showing you how to build apps, and they learn all that on YouTube. So, education has been democratized. So, what I mean here is, for Africa to leapfrog these parts of the world, what African leaders and African governments have to do consciously is to make sure that they build the right infrastructure. I mean, in every department of life. I'm not limiting it to the medicine. What he has, the medicine, is it he or she? What is it?
Let me keep that.
Okay,
If you
okay, you
don't
have the right to remain silent because I said what he had. Maybe it was a she. That's the reason why. But I want to be respectful, you know. But I think that if you look at the way artificial intelligence works, okay, it draws from existing databases and it draws from the way it's been trained. So I think Africa needs to put in the right, I would say, infrastructure. When we talk about the right infrastructure, let's start collecting data. Let's start making sure the data is accurate. So once we have that platform laid, okay, then we want to start teaching people how to leverage the use of artificial intelligence methodologies. Okay, I I can tell you, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the impact of generative AI in real time. Sometimes I go to work, okay, and things that I was it would things that would have taken me a whole day to do, I finish in 30 minutes. And I'm like, what next? Because AI does half of it for me. I hope none of my employers is watching.
I
No,
hope so too.
no, but
Otherwise,
the thing is, the reality is that, the reality is that I don't think that they will be mad at me using generative AI to solve problems, as long as I've built the right capabilities and competencies to be able to evaluate the work and to check for accuracy. I'm a learning designer myself. So if I design a program that is done in 15 minutes, I can spend the next 2 hours making sure it's done correctly, making sure everything that I wanted to do is in it, and things like that. But back to the question, I think for Africa to do very well and to catch up, we're not trying to catch up at this point because generative AI is moving very fast. We have to leapfrog. I think that's where the question is coming from. It's important that we look at building the right institutional structures, the right governance, and we also want to make learning and some of these, we have to train the right people. We have to get the right champions. We have to get the right people. For example, in rural areas, somebody might say, I don't have a school here, so I can't learn AI. That's not true. Because if you look at what the data says, okay, Africa has one of the highest teledensity in the world. Can you believe it? You have countries like South Africa with a tele-density of about 150%. One person has 3 phones, and those 3 phones have two SIM cards each. So that person has 6 internet, portals. Okay, that person has access to 6 different internet portals, and the person is telling you they don't see a school. So we also have to conscientize and train Africans and remind them that the solution is in their hands. Like if you are watching, try this thing right now. If you have WhatsApp, okay, go to Meta AI on WhatsApp and ask that question. Say, knowing what you know about me, tell me who I am and where I can focus my career going forward. You'll be shocked at what your phone knows about you.
and
Okay,
I'm going to try that right
let's
away.
do that right now. If you if you don't mind showing us that response, that'll be funny. But I have done it several times. Okay, what it is that the African has to be self-aware. Somebody has to tell the African that, hey, these things that you're looking forward to, you have them in your hands. So let's not think that we don't have the resources. We do have the resources, but we also need governments, African governments, to actually go forward and let people know that these are things we can do. The person cannot speak English but lives in a rural area that speaks a language like Frafra or Dagmani might say, oh, I don't understand English, but I can do ABC. But somebody has to let the person know that the answers that are generated in English, you can just tell the person, convert the answer to Frafra for me. And then next thing you have everything everything just like what the person is looking for. The reason why I say that is in order to leapfrog, we have to look for ways and means to leverage AI, which are very possible. We have to look for ways and means that we can, utilize some of these technologies to do things that even some people haven't done, to catch up and then end up leapfrogging in the field of science, technology, in the fields of agriculture. I mean, I read some reports. I like to read crazy things. I read some report about how AI can potentially be used to improve agriculture in Africa. And you'd be surprised at the things that I saw. AI can be used to assess, okay, the period of time that seeds grow and how they can enhance some of these things. They can look at how farms that have been successful in Western worlds can be replicated. Just ask it the question, just prompt it. Once you prompt it, what AI can do is AI is going to step back and say, okay, this is what you can do for Africa. Just get 1 or 2 people to validate what it's saying, because there's a possibility, a very slight possibility, that there could be some hallucinations or some mistakes made along the way. But it's very important to at least get a head start. Let's ideate with it. So the key point that I'm trying to establish is we have to start as Africans by maybe encouraging people to say, let's use this. Let's not push it away. Let's not assume that AI is coming to take our jobs away, so we're not going to use it. Let's really focus on leveraging it. Let's make it a partner, and it's going to help us to build a lot of things and to actually end up leapfrogging in all these areas that the person actually asks. I hope this answers your question. I know it's long-winded, but it's necessary.
Get feedback from the person who sent me the question, so that we can also let you know if he or she is okay. All right. And so we would want to take a few minutes off for break. We won't keep long. When we come back, we would continue our conversation on the future of learning with generative AI. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, we are so excited to have you join us at the Takoradi Westin Serene Atlantic Hotel, where this year's edition of the 𝐀𝐝𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨 conference is being held. It's going to be a transformative experience. We'll have various speakers who will be sharing on various topics to ensure that we bridge the gap from policy to practice and creating a workplace where everyone feels heard, valued, and supported. See you at the conference hall.
So today we had a really interesting session. It started with me giving a keynote address on well-being, and making a strong case for well-being as a requirement to create a workplace that's empathetic, that's supportive, that allows for employees to truly give up their best every single day they come to work.
And it says that for every $1 spent on mental health, companies see a $2 to $4 return in improved productivity and reduced absenteeism.
I did also present the financial benefits of taking employee well-being seriously.
I'm Felicia Opoku-Foliche, Head of HR and Admin for Taka Ghana. I'm very happy to be here at this year's 𝐀𝐝𝐦𝐢𝐬𝐢𝐸 conference, which is focusing on embedding mental health and well-being into HR practice.
And it's really helped because as line managers, we see our employees a lot, what they go through on a daily basis. There should be, just as you have like first aid, if someone gets a cut or a bruise in the workplace, if you have a mental health first aider or you're a supervisor, you are a trained mental health first aider, you can learn to recognize some of the signs and symptoms of mental health issues that is going on with your employees and appropriately intervene.
I think we've done the talk for a very long time. It's time to move into action and, incorporate a lot of well-being activities into our workplace. Oftentimes, it's very difficult to convince leadership, but we need to move beyond thinking about the cost and think of the benefits that having well-being in the workplace will do for the organization. So thank you very much.
So my name is Kwame. I work with Talo Oil. Today has been an exciting day. For me, we've been treating a very important topic to me, employee well-being.
And think about it. Health, productivity, and economic growth. And that's why you can separate.
And today I've spoken a lot about the importance of doing it, the benefit to the organization. And in fact, well-being is not just the right thing to do. It's a smart business decision. And employee organizations who focus on employee well-being outperform others who do not. And there were a lot of examples that I show. Now, hopefully for some of you who were not able to join us today, can go to the SEDAT social media pages to access some of the snippets of the conversation. It's an ongoing conversation, and as HR leaders, we need to take on this charge, challenge the status quo within organization, and push the cause forward. Thank you very much.
I see this opportunity to learn, grow, and network, and also shape the future of human resource management in Ghana. Once again, welcome, and thank you for coming. I wish you all the best.
Hello, my name is Patricia Abnakisi, the CEO of SEDAT Consult, organizers of the SEDAT HR Conference 2025 in Takoradi. I'd like to especially thank all participants for making it to the conference. You made the investment of time, you made the investment of money, and you made this conference a success. We are grateful to you. Many thanks to our speakers, our keynote speaker, and all the speakers. We appreciate you for coming, for sharing your experiences and your strategies with the participants. To our sponsors, thank you so much. Without you, we couldn't have done this. Thank you, Apex Health. Thank you, 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬 Insurance Brokers. Thank you, all our partners, the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, 𝐷𝐿 Studios. Thank you very much, Rivia. Thank you, My Health Corp. Thank you, SHRM. Thank you, SHRP. Thank you, HR Network Africa. Thank you, all our media partners. We are grateful for coming on board. I invite everyone. This is going to be an annual conference. So we'll come again next year to Takoradi, the oil city, and we expect many more people to jump on the board and be part of this conference. Thank you, and God bless you.
I think this has been a useful session, and I encourage all of you to look out for the next SEDAT HR conference, and please do attend because you learn quite a lot. I've been quite motivated by some of the attendants and some of the things they've told me, the length to which people have gone to be able to be here today. I truly appreciate that, and I hope that next one you will be as well. Thank you.
I'm Comfort Hughes.
I'm Kofi Annan from Good News FM.
Okay, ma'am, this program has been very insightful and very educative, I must say. I wasn't really expecting this. I knew I was going to learn a lot, but not to this extent. And I believe that we all have also learned one thing or the other.
My name is Evinedo Mante. I'm from Focus One Group. I came to SEDAT Conference 2025, and my experience so far is I've loved all the presentations, the presentations that were given by the facilitators. They spoke about how we are going to implement HR practice in our workplace, and I think it's a good thing when someone is well treated in your workplace, but the person is going to also work for the company to enjoy.
This program has indeed opened my eyes on various aspects in the HR practices. For instance, I've learned that happy employee improves productivity. So with this program, it will help us to at least improve on our performance and also increase productivity, so that at least the organization will benefit, we the employees will also benefit, and it will also help us to at least know our left from the right when it comes to employee well-being, and then how employees are treated in the organization. So,
Hi, you are looking so good.
thank you very much.
I would like you to briefly introduce yourself to us.
Okay, I'm Rahman Badir from Raleigh Enterprise.
Share with me what has been your highlight so far in this conference. SEDAT Conference 2025.
Oh, okay. This conference, I've actually learned a lot, you understand? I've learned a lot about employees' well-being, you understand? So the employees' well-being actually contributes to a high productivity. And I also learned that HR isn't just one person. HR is everyone, because the well-being of a company, although it's the HR's major thing to put into consideration, but everyone can also be an HR in a company, and that's what I've actually learned here.
Hello.
Hi, you're looking so good.
Thank you. I would like you to briefly introduce yourself to us, spark us with your beautiful outfit.
Okay, so my name is Vivian Selassie Opokunyano. I'm with missions across the West, and we are into crusades across the western parts of Ghana. And when I heard about the conference, I thought it was a good place to come and learn some knowledge about HR and all that here.
And I hope your expectation has been met.
Beyond my expectation. For me, so right from the entrance to the whole thing, I felt very, excited about it. I feel the event has been well organized. The speakers too are on point. And for me, the highlight was when they said that we need to prioritize employee well-being over profit.
Yeah.
This is Pastor Samosona Brobe.
Hello, welcome back from the break. And we were just giving you some of the experiences from some of our participants at our conference that was held in Takoradi. And as usual, we are on our way to Kumasi again. And so all the Osaikron people that wanted to beat us, please put your canes down, because we are coming your way again, coming October. It is going to happen on the 30th of October at the Golden Beam Hotel, and the cost for in-person is $620, and for virtual participants you are going to pay $520. $620 for in-person, $520 for virtual participants, and you have you have some time to plan and budget to participate in this conference. It has always been a very super conference, and I can guarantee you this is going to be another time of learning and networking that you will not forget in a hurry. Now, have you noticed that after all the hard work, we work so hard, and in the rush of our meetings, emails, and the endless to-do list that we have, there's one thing that we always push aside. One thing that HR professionals always set aside: we put ourselves aside and we take care of other people leaving us. But listen, SEDAT is here to let you know that you are equally and highly, highly important in the picture. When you take yourself out of the picture, nothing can go on. And so on the 1st of August, we will be meeting at the British Council Auditorium in Accra from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And what are we going to do? It is the 2025 edition of the SEDAT HR Soiree. And so last year was super. This year we are going to have amazing programs. There will be karaoke, there will be games, spoken word, dancing. And last year I was looking for somebody to compete with me with the dancing. I didn't get anyone. Please, this year when you are coming, come and look for me, and I'm going to dance with you. We'll have a dancing competition. And how much are we paying? It is just 200 Ghana cedis, and you are going to have all these for free. Let's meet to network. Let's meet to have fun. And let's put some of the things aside and take care of ourselves. Put yourself in the picture. I'm going to be there, and I hope you would love to be there as well. And so the details for the registration will be shared in the comments for both the conference, the Kumasi conference, and the soiree. Do well to click on it and register so that together we can meet on the 1st of August. It is my birth month, so I'm definitely going to be there. So let's meet there and have fun. And I see Jeff smiling over there. I can just imagine the next thing he will say. Please don't say anything. Don't say anything. All right. So let's go continue our discussion. We have some few minutes to go off, but then we'll look at about 2-3 questions before we bring today's episode to an end. We want to look at something around generative AI, and really it's something that bothers a lot of people, and I know Jeff will do justice to us, so all our doubts and our fears would be taken care of. From your perspective, Jeff, is generative AI a complement to traditional teaching or learning, or a disruptive force? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think it's both.
Tell us.
It
We
is
want to
both.
know your mind.
So it's like asking a question: is electricity something that helps you to light your room, or something that can be used to kill people? It's both. Because a lot of people, there are quite a number of people who have this mindset that generative AI will be taking away their jobs. The answer is yes and no. Yes, because if it's changing everything. So if you don't learn to work with generative AI, yes, your job will be taken away from you. But if you learn to work with generative AI, you will retain your job and get even better opportunities going forward. So it's a decision we all have to take. Okay. I quite remember, and I'm not that old, I quite remember when laptops came, people were like, me, I don't like that thing. Me, I don't like that thing. These days, if you don't know how to type on a laptop, you can't get a job. That's the reality. Unless you want to go to the farm where you don't need a laptop. But, even the secretary that you talk to when you're going to the agricultural company has to learn how to. So the reality with generative AI is it is not just taking over from the workplace, it is affecting every department of our lives. And it is something that, fortunately or unfortunately, everybody can learn. Unfortunately, because the IT guys who, had the tech aspect of things in their domain and were making a lot of money, some of them are not happy because there's low code generative AI tools right now. You read about N8N and other things. People can just go and create, chatbots in 2 hours. This was something that companies outsourced, to tech gurus in the past. But they also have the know-how and the skill set that they can go on to the higher aspects of generative AI engineering related stuff. So it's a blessing and a curse. So the easiest response to your question is yes, generative AI is going to be both a disruptive force that is going to shake up things and going to force people in learning and development and people in every department of life, HR, finance, everything, to either adapt or be pushed out. And for those who adapt, they are going to gain more possibilities and more opportunities. There's this famous quote that you see online everywhere. It literally says, AI is not coming for your job. It is the person who is learning how to program and do things with AI who is coming for your job. And you know who that person is? That person is that little boy in the corner called Gen Z who's learning to program from today. So the new jobs in the workplace, they are going to command those jobs. So if you are those of us who started by, writing or calculating things with our hands, I'm sorry, but you have to learn to use the laptop. You have to learn to use generative AI. If not, it's going to be that disruptive force for you. But if you actually put in the effort, it's going to be a blessing. And is this Paul Opokun Kruma? Nana Opoku says, meet my boss, Dr. J. I'm not a doctor. Oh. And Nana
Paul,
Opoku says,
Paul, I see you. I see you, Paul.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a hustler who is constantly on IT and LinkedIn and all these. I'm just every day. Trust me. You know, one thing I recommend to folks is just have an AI hour. I do a minimum of 4 hours every day before I go to sleep. I go online, I learn what's new, I learn the trends, and I'm getting opportunities to speak. I'm not the only person who knows stuff. Everybody can know it. You know, there are some courses like on IBM that you can just go and take easily. Introduction to AI. It's a 10-hour thing. You get a certificate for it. So that's really what it is. It's going to be a blessing or a curse depending on who you are and what you choose to do.
It's going to be a blessing or otherwise, depending on who you are and what you want to be. And so, at this juncture, the choice is in your hands. And if I were you, I would choose. I would go for the blessing rather than the curse or the otherwise of the blessing. Now, Jeff, let's look at potential risk surrounding over-reliance on generative AI in learning environments. When we overly rely on it, are there any potential risk that we stand to encounter or experience? And if they are, well, if you don't mind sharing some of these risks and how we can go about it, I think it will be very helpful. And then once you are done, we'll take our last question, where we will look at the equity concerns with AI in learning.
Okay, so ethical use and risks is in everything. Even driving from home to work to go and make money for your kids is taking a risk because there could be a drunk driver to hit you along the way. What about that? So everything you do with generative AI has a risk because when you really look at the back end architecture, how AI works, it's just making predictions based off of the information available to it. And the information is pretty huge. It has access to everything. It has access to, as long as it's an open database, AI has access to it. So yes, it's definitely risky to use it. That's why there should always be a human in the loop. And those are the people who learn to use AI. Like I said, when I'm working sometimes I run reports with generative AI, but guess what I do? I go over it and make sure everything is correct. If there's something that I don't think is correct, I will go and do the research to validate and support and make sure that it's something that is right for it to be included in the report before I put it in. Now, as countries, it's important that we create the right governance structure to prevent some of these risks. Initially I was talking about things such as making sure we have the right databases for our generative AI tools to draw from. Well, we have to protect what goes in because they say garbage in, garbage out. Okay. If the data is filled with connection information, then generative AI is going to use this algorithm to generate a report for you that is filled with inaccuracies. Now, generative AI also has an issue called hallucination. And basically what it is that the AI feels like, in quotes, it's been programmed in such a way that once it's prompted, it has to give you a response. So if I prompt AI to give me information about cassava farms in Ghana, and there's no database, about cassava farms in Ghana, generative AI will say, okay, now that we don't have information on cassava farms in Ghana, let's go take cassava farms in Holland and give it to Jeffrey so Jeffrey can start thinking about it. Okay, so AI can give the wrong information, AI can hallucinate, AI can give something that is factually inaccurate, but AI always presents it as something that is accurate because that's the response it's giving you based on what it has. So there should be governance, and we need to train people to put in the right prompts. So it definitely is going to come with a lot of risks. The risks are always going to be there, but because it saves us a lot of time, I think we also, and remember, the risks of generative AI is also creating a job for people because people are getting certified to be certified in AI ethics and governance. That's a whole new field that is, springing up. Get a certification there. Companies will say, we want to use generative AI. And guess what? We want you to come in and make sure that we have the right guardrails to make sure that whatever is, you know, spit out as information from our databases has been checked and is accurate. So in terms of the risk, there are risks abound in everything. Even getting married to somebody is a risk. Even going to church and trusting your pastor is a risk. For example, don't think about it in a different sense. What I'm saying is, your pastor might tell you to go do something. Your instincts might tell you that doing the opposite is right. You listen to your pastor, you make a mistake. So the reality is that everything we do in life is a risk. So we have to factor in risk management methodologies. And with generative AI, the most important thing is creating the right governance structure and getting the right properly trained people to make sure that risk and compliance is always taken care of whenever we're using generative AI.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yep.
This is great. This is great. And I think the governance structure is very, very important. I'm sure it's one of the things that is also holding people back in going into full implementation of AI tools in their workplace. And so I perfectly agree with you. Once we have the right structures, governance structures in place, I believe it would go a long way to help us. Now let's take our final question. Are there equity concerns with AI in learning? Let's look at it from this angle: who gets access or who gets behind, in the traditional learning environment, and people can decide. It's sometimes it's very subjective because we can tell that, okay, you are going, you are not going, and all that. Do we have such concerns when it comes to AI as well, especially when it comes to learning? I don't know if my question is clear.
I think I understand your question. I'm also going to answer it in a very interesting way. I would tell you that the answer to every question in life is it depends. Before the question gets asked, I know the answer already. It's called it depends. It depends on what you consider access to be. Like we're talking about tele-density. Okay, you say I live in a rural area, it's going to cost me a plane ticket to go to Takoradi to attend the SEDAT conference, so I can go. Well, what if it's getting shown on YouTube? You have two cell phones. When you need money from your uncle in Germany, okay, you know how to call your uncle from the village. But when you need access to learning in Takoradi, you say it costs a plane ride. Okay, people don't blame themselves. They find ways and means to give excuses for themselves. Like I take myself, for example. Sometimes I ask myself, why am I always online learning? But there's a bit of fear because, you have all these degrees and generative AI is just destroying your degrees left, right, and center. We were like, human cans with all filled with knowledge in our heads. And right now, the people who used to come to us in the past to ask questions, they can go to ChatGPT now. Okay, so what do I do if I want to stay relevant? I have to learn to use ChatGPT in such a way that I will still be the person that people come to when they need me. Because in addition to ChatGPT, I'm also that person who has gotten the degree on it. And I know that I'm not an AI expert, so because of that, I'm constantly on the IBMs and the Googles and the Amazons and learning. They're giving out a lot of information for free. Harvard is putting out knowledge about AI. All these schools are giving out information. You go to YouTube University, I call it YouTube University. You have all these tools that can be learned for free. So when it comes to access, I think it all depends on how the person thinks. I saw some video of a kid in Tanzania or something who was trying to create a helicopter. He had been trying for so many years, but eventually he got something that could take off. So I think approaching the problem, okay, with honesty and openness is half the solution. So that thing about well, I'm not in Germany, so I can't take this course. It depends again who's looking at it. That's my answer to your question.
Right. Thank you so much. It depends. It depends. And so please make sure that you're choosing the right course, you're doing the right thing, because if you don't put yourself and handle the things you need to handle well and learn what you need to learn now and learn it very well, a time will come that someone will do it and come for your job from you. And so don't sit there for your job to be taken away from you. Like Jeff said, it depends on you. It depends on what you do. And so take opportunity, learn. I mean, there are so many ways you can enhance your knowledge when it comes to AI and all that. And in just discussion with us, you heard him mention a lot of them. What we will do is that we will share the link to this conversation or this episode on our various social media handles. And so at any point that you want to go over and listen, you can have the opportunity to do that. If you are not on our WhatsApp platform, you can also drop your WhatsApp line and the team would take your details and add you to the platform. But remember to do the two-way verification, authentication before you join, because it's a very large group, and so we cannot attest for everybody in the group. It's an open group, a social group, so make sure you do that before you join. But there's a lot of learning happening on that platform. A very big thank you to you, Jeff. Before we sign off, we want to take your final words. What do you have to tell us, HR practitioners, business leaders, HR specialists who are into learning and other specialization in the field? What is your message for us?
Thank you very much, Madam Patience and the SEDAT group, and thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts here. I think my message to the HR community, and particularly HR leaders and organizational leaders in Africa, is that we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, how do we add value? Okay, how do we add value in an era of AI, in an era where AI is overtaking everything? It's unfortunate that some people are still so stuck in the old ways of doing things. Okay, but the world is evolving and things are changing. We all have to. You use the phrase, you said learn, relearn, and learn something. You know, we have to consistently, if we want to stay consistent and ahead of the times, we have to learn to upgrade our skills and leverage the use of AI. And there's the fear factor, and particularly this has to do with leaders, HR, not just leaders, but HR leaders and organizational leaders. When people propose new ways of doing things utilizing AI, they'll say, oh, this is something that we are not going to accept. This is something that is so new. It's only the Western world that is doing. No, it's coming. It's coming. So when your employees, the people who do the work every day, when they are telling you to adopt the use of some of these tools, I think it's important that we accept and listen to it and actually at least give it a try. Okay, take a minor case of it, test it out and see how well it's going to affect and improve activities within the organization and leverage it. So those are my parting words. I think it's very, very important for us to adopt this. If you look at what the data has been saying, okay, a lot of if you look at the global adoption of artificial intelligence, Africa's current adoption rate is just about 1 to 2%. And you have a continent that has 50 something countries, 54 countries or so. So the reality is that you have, like, the Americas, the Europes and the rest that are actually, actively pushing 9-10% adoption, or companies are taking it up left, right, and center. And African leaders, because they think that AI is going to change the guard and bring more newer people with different set of skills into the fold, they're kind of holding people back. But you hold people back, you're holding your country back. So it's very important for us to pay attention and embrace it rather than push it back. So that would be my parting words to this group. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't hurt anybody.
have empathy. And for that matter, there's more on investment when we care for our employees. Together, we should be on this call. Next year, we will meet again. Until then, 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢𝐨 Consult has been with us throughout this period. Thank you very much for being part of this project.
Wow, the 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢𝐴 HR Conference 2025 was indeed a transformative and insightful experience. Our speakers highlighted on valuable topics, and we are so certain that all our participants have been equipped to integrate employee well-being into the very fabric of their organizations. Thank you, our dear sponsors, 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢𝐴, Apex Health. And I also want to thank our partners, Rivia, My Health Corp, 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢𝐴 Studios, Voltic, all our partners for making this possible. Follow us on all our social media platforms to stay connected and have insights from this conference. My name is Supernatural Intem. See you at the 𝐀𝐝𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢 HR Conference 2026.